Okay, so I'll talk about string part 2, and particularly I'm going to talk about string method. And I just give you an example to explain the concept of string method. Let's say I have a variable k, and I'll say hi there, and let's say this is a box, right? The variable name is k. This box will have string, right? Hi there, right? But this is not an ordinary it's not an ordinary variable, because this string, right? Whenever we talk about string, this is a class. Basically, is a type of this thing is a class called string class. And so whenever we talk about string, right? Basically, this particular case, the hi there is an object, actually instance of a class string. So basically, this is a particular instance which is an object of type string. Then it has a lot of method which are associated with this particular object. Okay, so we'll learn more about this object and then classes a later chapter, but it has a lot of method. So if you look at the textbook, it really shows a lot of string methods, and with all the definitions, and also it shows a lot of example. But for now, I'm going to show you let's say 2 or 3 example. So let's say okay, the first method that I'm going to explain to you is, let's say, count. Then count will take a substring as its input. The method is actually, you can think as a function. So whenever you use a method, it need to have an input, and always is return something as an output. So let's say for the count, we'll take substring as an input and returns the number of non-overlapping occurrences of substring sub. Okay, so for example, let's say k is hi there. To use this method, this method is really like a functions. You first have to use a variable name k and a dot and then a method name. Let's say when I use e as a substring, I'll try to count number of non-overlapping character e, right? E of the substring. I mean, it will try to return number of non-overlapping occurrences of substring e, right? So let's say in our case, in our example, hi there, right? So how many e's? 1 and 2, right? So it's going to return 2. And let's use another example. Okay, so let's say use lower. Lower is returns a copy of string k. In this particular example, when I say k dot lower, right, then it returns a copy of k converted to lowercase. So the result is going to be hi T-H-E-R-E. This is converted to lowercase, as you can see. And another example is a split. This is very important method, by the way. And there is a separator. The split, what this function does is returns a list of the words in. So when I use k dot split, and what it does is this, since it's a function, it returns a list of the words in k using a sep as the delimiter string. In this case, I put empty, right? There's nothing, no input. So if there's no input, right, then any white space string is going to be a delimiter. Actually, it's going to be a separator. So in our example, the k is what? Hi there, right? So they're going to use this white space as a separator, right? And then separate this string. So it's going to be 1 and 2. So you're going to return a list of the words separated by this white space. So it's going to be, the result is going to be hi, and then comma, THERE, comma. Okay, so this is example. By the way, the last thing I want to talk about is a string. Is something called immutable object. Immutable object, which means, let's say when I say k is equal to hi there, right? I really cannot change this string. I cannot really modify this thing. Once it's created, I cannot really modify this object. So that's why it's called immutable object. Okay, so let's okay, so this is like example. Let's say when I type hi there, and let me just do one more time. Let's say k is, let's say, hi there, and when I say k dot, let's say lower, right, and it's going to return what? String, and these strings are all converted to lowercase. When I say k dot count e, oops, it should returns 2. When I say count dot, let's say k, since I don't have any k, right? I mean, let's say that's a, should returns what? 0, because there's no a in string k. When I say k dot split, and then what? Spling, and then it's not, it should returns a list of the words separated by a white space. Okay, so I'll just end my lecture. A lecture on string method.